Humility and haughtiness are the exact opposites of each other. Humility is here. Haughtiness is at the other end of the spectrum. Which one are you?
Welcome to Unplugged Witness. I am Primus. Humility, the Bible presents it as wise counsel, a beautiful quality that allows us to ask for forgiveness and to heal what's been broken. For Jehovah's Witnesses, this is presented as a core part of what it means to be a true Christian. The organization constantly encourages every follower to live by this standard. In their Watchtower magazine of September 15, 1996, with the theme, "Do You Really Need to Apologize?" on page 23, when counseling those who find it hard to apologize, the instruction they give is absolute. It says, humility is the key, and the humble Christian concerns himself with his own failings and is willing to admit them. That is the Christ-like standard they expect from everyone. But what about the men at the very top? Do they follow the Bible counsel they so strongly encourage everyone else to live by? Let's not speculate. Let's start with their official policy.
And also, the governing body is neither inspired nor infallible, and so it can err in doctrinal matters or in organizational direction. Well, knowing this, then, we are not embarrassed about adjustments that are made, nor is an apology needed for not getting it exactly right previously. We understand this is how Jehovah operates. He reveals matters gradually when it is needed.
There it is, the policy from the future kings, who will rule with our humble King Jesus. They admit they can be wrong, but an apology is not needed. These guys never cease to amaze, right? Now let's put that policy on trial, using the very standards they champion. First, let's understand how the organization defines the pride that prevents an apology. Let's hear what Kenneth has to say.
So haughtiness is really a condition of the heart, the inner person. And it says it's a wicked thing.
A wicked thing. And as we've already established from their own Watchtower, the antidote to that wickedness, the very key to humility, is to be willing to admit your failings. And the ultimate model for this, they say, is Jehovah himself, as Kenneth confirms.
The verse said, Jehovah opposes the haughty, but he favors those who are humble.
So the Christian standard they present is clear. A humble person admits their failings. To do otherwise is evidence of a wicked heart, a quality that Jehovah opposes. Now let's see how severely this standard is applied to others, using a powerful illustration that Kenneth himself provided, the haughty meter.
Now, if Jehovah had a humble haughty meter, where would the needle be if he was monitoring you? Would it be in the middle? Well, hopefully not. Hopefully be it closer to humility. We're imperfect, but we want to be as far away from haughtiness as possible. Numbers 20. Humble Moses allowed himself to be provoked and perform an act of haughtiness or arrogance.
Moses, judged harshly for one momentary spike. That's how strictly the standard applies to others. So now we turn to you. Imagine for a second, someone hurts you deeply. Your trust is broken, your life turned upside down by their mistake. They finally admit they were wrong, but then look you right in the eye and say, "I don't owe you an apology." What would you think of that person? Would you consider them a humble Christian? Of course not. You'd see them as prideful, unloving, and certainly not a Christian you could trust. You would recognize that behavior as the very arrogance the Watchtower and Kenneth just told you to avoid. So why, and you really need to ask yourself this, why is it suddenly acceptable when the governing body does it? These are the men who claim they will rule the world with Jesus Christ, the one who got down on his knees and washed the feet of his disciples. And yet they cannot perform the one simple, humble act that they encourage every one of their followers to perform, saying, "We were wrong and we are sorry." Amazing. The evidence speaks for itself. So what does their choice not to apologize tell us about them? We don't have to speculate. We will apply the standard Kenneth Floden laid out for us. First, he told us that haughtiness is a wicked thing that comes from the heart. Their policy of no apologies is an explicit refusal to show humility. Therefore, by their own definition, their official policy is an expression of a wicked heart condition. Second, he reminded us that Jehovah opposes the haughty. A public refusal to apologize for doctrinal errors that have harmed people is the very definition of haughtiness. Therefore, by their own teaching, their policy places them in direct opposition to the God they claim to represent. And finally, they taught us that Moses was severely judged for one single momentary spike on the haughty meter. The governing body's stance isn't a momentary spike. It is a deliberate standing policy of sustained pride. They have broken the needle off the gauge. This is not just a glitch. It is the core of a two-tiered system where the beneficial counsel of the Bible applies to you, but not to them. If you're tired of the double standards, please subscribe to the channel. Let's keep holding their claims up to the light. How do you view them for directly saying to their followers that they will not apologize? And please, in the comments, share your story. Were you or your family affected by a doctrinal adjustment for which an apology was never given? It's time the human cost of their policy was made clear. Thank you for joining me. Remember, the truth will set you free. Awaken, question, and discover. Goodbye.